And we're looking at the plain language big book versus the big book. Now, I want to go to, let's see, page 18.
Uh,
Allie?
yeah, I didn't get to talk on that one. I
Oh,
want.
I'm sorry, Allie. I apologize.
I,
Go ahead. I didn't see your hand.
I
Or
no, I
go
was
ahead.
trying to figure out where you put the hand up at, and I couldn't find it. But
Okay, I apologize. Go ahead, Allie.
I'll raise my hand. Well, you took away what was there
Yep.
because
Uh,
can can we
sorry,
go
I
to that
can't go
real?
back.
Oh, you can't go back. Okay, here's my take on it. My problem is with, see, I got to read it to say it because by me saying it, it'll be not really
There
clear.
we go.
But where it says, why don't you create? And then it's, I say, I need the rest of the words, et cetera, your own idea of God. And then in the big book, it says, we have to quit playing God. God is the creator. We are his creation. So when you're saying that, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, I don't have it here that I can't talk about it. But that would be my thing.
There
Because
we go, Ellie. Ellie, give me
to
one
me,
second and I'll go back to it.
oh, no, it's okay.
No,
I,
no, no, no,
I'm,
no, no, no.
I'm gonna finish with this, but it is going to be controversial with this. Already in my big book study, there's the haves and well, I don't know, the wants and the don't want.
It's the other way, Rob. Page 30 on the in the plain language big book. It
Oh,
comes under
Rob,
the
Rob, it's not that important. All I was comparing is the word create, because it says, why don't you choose your own conception? Conception is an idea,
Right.
unless you got to create it. But that word throws me. That's it, Rob. Let's go to the next one. What page?
Yeah,
Okay.
nearly there, nearly there, nearly there, nearly there.
I
It's
was there.
okay.
You
It's done.
go back a page, go back
There
a
we
page.
go.
It's
There we go.
okay. Anyway, where he says, then my friend suggested something that might help me. Yeah, okay. He said, why don't you create your own idea of who or what God is? Now, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like the doorknob is my God, the chair is my God. Is that what he mean when he say create? Because right away, as soon as I hear create, I hear creator. And then if I'm creating it, to me, it's like, what's the
So,
word?
so you're having trouble with why don't from the regular big book. He said, why don't you choose your own conception of God?
No, I'm not having trouble with that. I
No,
agree with.
no, no. I know that. I
Oh,
know.
okay.
What you're having trouble with is why don't you create your own idea of who or what God is?
Exactly.
Okay, fair enough. Lynn, don't forget to
Thank
unmute.
God they break it down like this. I'm Lynn, I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and
Hey,
I
Lynn.
love this. I love this. I don't believe in God as an entity at all. So I love that they give me the option to choose what God is as well. I like that they spell it out like that because this is not a religious program. Says it right in the beginning of the book, spells it out
Spiritual.
plain and clear. And my opinion of my higher power is not an entity. It's a thing. So it's an energy. And I like that I got to pick my own conception because the old conception that I got through religion did not work.
Right.
That's all I got. Thanks.
And a lot of people felt that way too. And they come in with a lot of prejudice. And what do they talk about? Is we have to get rid of our prejudice. We have to push it aside. So, oh well. Now I want to go on to Allie on page 18
18, you got it.
and let me get there on.
Take your time. I need a big print. Can't see.
Okay,
All right, now we can.
I'll go
page
page
is that?
18 of the big book, everybody.
What page is that in the plain language?
I got page 35 in the plain language.
Okay.
Okay,
And it's under the title alcohol. Well, you can see it. Alcoholics who help each other feel understood. So go ahead. Oh, but the recovering alcoholic. But the ex-problem drinker, Ellie.
Okay, start there.
Yep.
Okay, but the ex-problem drinker who has found this solution, who is properly armed with the facts about himself, can generally win the entire confidence of another alcoholic in a few hours. Until such an understanding is reached, little or nothing can be accomplished.
Perfect.
You
Okay,
go.
so then we go to the plain language. And what they say is, but the recovering alcoholic who is already in AA are completely different. We can usually gain the trust of other alcoholics very quickly. Ex-problem drinkers who have joined AA understand how alcoholism works. They're often able to help alcoholics who are still drinking to open up and start talking. Without this connection, very little or nothing at all will work. So, how do people feel about that one? Go ahead, Scott. You don't have to
Me?
go. Please go ahead, Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is the one bone of contention in the first few pages I've read. That's two different stories, two different tales. I mean, basically, I mean, okay, we can't say, as that one says there, we're already in AA, because obviously we didn't have an already in AA before the book. However, basically, that doesn't necessarily mean the 12-step philosophy. We haven't got a monopoly on it. Plus, the fact is that who have joined AA, that's become making it very exclusive to me and understand how alcoholism works. We're talking about, for me, I'm talking about two separate entities. I've got a degree, don't you mind? I've got letters after my name, don't you mind? And it isn't about being illogical or logical, but the thing is, I'm actually reading two different things. I can see a general theme through it, a thread through it, but I'm reading two different things completely. Because basically, as I'm sort of saying, if I go back to the original, the expert who's found this solution is probably armed with the facts about himself, not armed with the facts about alcoholism, armed with the facts about himself. That's the identification and resonation it talks about. But I just find that I struggle with reading those as two separate entities for me.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks, Scott. ZZ, don't forget to unmute.
Hi, yeah, no, do you know what? I was listening to what was said then, and how it's written originally in the book is kind of better on this part, because it says on not the new one, the whatever it's called, but recovering alcoholics who are already in AA are completely different. But when I read that as but recovering alcoholics, that means, okay, they're alcoholics, but they're recovering. Yeah. So to me, if I look into that too much, they're just recovering. That means they've not recovered, that they're going to be recovering forever. And if you're going to just be recovered, because some people say they're recovered, others don't, people saying they're recovering. But for me, when I first came in early days, if I'd read it like that, I would have thought, right, so I'm going to be recovering forever. And if I'm going to be recovering forever, then what's the point? But when you go to meetings and you read the book and it's like, okay, I recovered from this.
Hopefully state of,
What? You know what I mean?
hopefully state of
I'm just
mind
going to
about
put it out there, right? I'm not like, people are like hook, line, and sinker on every word of every page. I'm not that good. Yeah. I'm only like hitting my 4 years now and I'm still learning, because
Hey,
sometimes I
you
feel
know
it
what?
might be a right or wrong answer.
We should never stop learning. Remember, this program is about growing and
Rob, you're
maintaining.
muted.
Oh,
Oh, no, he's
I
frozen.
can hear you perfectly, Rob.
oh, I'm glad you said. Yeah, I think
He was
I'm
muted. We
okay.
didn't hear nothing.
I can hear you. You're
Oh,
fine.
okay.
Now we can.
We can all hear you
where-
fine, Rob.
Thanks. Remember where we are, ZZ, where we are right now in the steps. Okay, we're just starting to learn about alcoholism, and it's a new person. Okay, if you haven't done the steps, you're not recovered. You are recovering. Okay,
Got yeah.
so
But if you're a newcomer and you read that, yeah,
yeah,
you'll
but yeah,
think like, yeah.
but your thoughts and that's what it's all about. Okay. Also, if anybody here doesn't want to be recorded, it's only audio. It's not, so people won't know who you are. But if you want, I can always shut the recording off when you're speaking. So I want everybody to know that. Bob, what do you got for us, sir?
I have a couple of things. It's really hard for us who have been through the big book
There you
and
go.
who have read it. We have to keep in mind, and we should all have an open mind, because I am number one that was closed mind about this book before I even read part of it. I thought it was blasphemy. It should never come out. And then I grabbed it and then I read it. And I read it, and it's the ideas. And I challenge everybody here who's happy with the good big book, the way it's written, to go back 100 years and start reading some letters that they wrote back then. I mean, the language is different. And for kids coming up, and I'm talking, they're kids, I'm 70 years old, so I'm working with these young men. Half of them don't know how to read. Their comprehension is garbage. And I personally sit down and go through the big book, and I'm not tooting my own horns with my sponsees, because I want them to understand what they are talking about. This new tool that we have breaks it down in English that they can understand. It's not what we need to understand, it's what they need to understand. And I think this paragraph, the main thing about this paragraph, I believe, is it's talking about how one alcoholic can help another. We get too tied up in semantics. You know what I'm trying to say? Look at what they're trying to say and look at the language they're saying it in. Is the same message conveyed from our big book to this? Is the message the same when we break it down? Just the last time, if we looked up that word conception, conception means have an idea. And what was that line? It says create your own idea. The words are just a little bit different, but the overall concept is the same. And I feel it's a little bit easier for somebody that's never seen the big book, hasn't done any steps, and they're trying to get a feel for this program. And it's sort of like trying to read Shakespeare. It just blows me away. I can't figure that language out. And that's all I have to say. Just open-minded, open-minded, look at the concepts. Thank you.
And that's really why we're going through it right now. Is I've just picked out a few examples. There are many more that we could really, you know, hammer home. But I just wanted to grab a few that, especially things that really I love about the big book. You know, things that have really stood, like the ex-problem drinker. These are things in italics and things like that that have been hammered home to me. I wanted to go through them through the plain language big book to see, well, are they giving the same message or is it totally different? Can it help? Can it not help? How do you feel about it? So these are just, you know, Bob, you're so right. Anybody that's been taking people through the big book are going to feel like, well, yeah, I'm going to still take people through the big book. Why? Because that's what we were taught,
Right.
And when there's a word we don't understand, we have the big book dictionary that tells us what the word is, and we explain it to the person.
And how many of us have a 1938 dictionary? So we really know what that word means back in 1938.
Exactly. And that's why, and they are available uh, online, the Big Book Dictionary, where somebody has already done all the work for us. It can't get much easier than just downloading something. June, great to see you as always.
Hi, Rob. Hi, everybody. And likewise, June Alcoholic. You know, the thing is, they did an okay job with this, but okay, had they said something like, but recovered alcoholics who have worked the program or worked the steps, then recovered and working the steps go hand in hand, which is basically the definition of recovered, right? I personally don't like how they wrote things, and what I don't like either is that alcoholics weren't in on this. My understanding, these were non-alcoholics
What?
wrote this, and had they got somebody like us, to say, hey, recovered alcoholics who work the steps in AA or who work the steps, but I just have a problem with how they said something. And like the other person said, recovering versus recovered. And, that definition could have been put on the sidelines like they did with other things. Recovered, you have worked the steps. Recovering, you're working the steps. So that was just my thought on the matter. But what was that first page number in the big book that we had looked at?
Page 12.
Page 12. Thank
My
you.
friend suggested. And here's something that I just noted. It says here in the plain language big book on the screen, ex-felon drinkers who have joined AA understand how alcoholism works. How many people here have been to meetings and that there are an awful lot of long timers that have never gone through the big book? Just because you're part of the fellowship or part of AA doesn't mean that you've done the steps. There's an awful lot of people, just from my own experience, that are sitting in the fellowship of AA and have not done this work. So
Right.
to me, that is one of the little, it's nitpicking, but just because you're in you've got a seat in AA doesn't necessarily mean you've done the steps. Come on in, Scott.
I think Ali was before me because he's not got a hands
Yeah,
waving. One
I don't
second.
know how to.
Oh, is this hand waving? Okay,
Okay.
sorry, Ali.
Yeah. Well, let's just go with the first sentence. But recovering alcoholics who are already in AA. Well, what does that mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I got that from what you're saying, ex-problem drinkers who have joined AA. What did he do? Fill out an application and came in? Or did he come
And
in
you
with
know
his
what?
tail
In
burning?
the early days, there were some people that had to fill out little cards.
That's true. I told this to a history buff, but the average person. All right, anyway, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Scott.
I just totally lost my train of thought then. Yeah, basically, it was something June said, and it's gone now. Anyway, I'll try again in a minute. It'll come back about 2 o'clock in the morning, like a light bulb. Anyway, gone.
Give me a call. Lynn.
Lynn, addict alcoholic. I hear a lot of contention about the new big book or the plain language big book. And when I go through the regular big book with my sponsees, I've turned it into plain language for them.
Mm-hmm.
Why would we not do the same exact thing with the plain language big book? Thank you. That's all I got.
Thanks, Lynn. And this is what we're discussing. Like some people are totally against it. If you read some of the comments on the Facebook post, other people love it. And until we get into it, and you know what, I'll be honest with you, I'm in Canada. This was just available to us, so I've had it, and I haven't finished the whole book yet.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay, so and let's be honest, I'm cherry picking here. Just certain things, that I wanted to discuss because I thought, you know what, I think there's some interesting points. So with that, June.
And one I so agree with Lynn, right? Turn it into the plain language. And with our big book studies, that's what we learn. But this book is the program, and I am just hoping and praying that from this plain language big book, they will come to this and possibly understand it more, but not to ignore this. This is our textbook, this is our program, and I hope that doesn't get lost in translation, right?
And remember that the plain language big book is a tool.
Right.
Okay, and it states it right there, that it's a
Right.
tool.
But they didn't, when, after writing this book, and all the groups sent in their suggestions, again, our group, my home group, we said, hey, let's follow it line by line. Let's make one paragraph. You can't even match page numbers hardly very well with how it is now. So, we didn't get what we asked for, but I mean, that's okay. You can't please everybody. And could you imagine trying to please all these alcoholics?
Hey,
But
if
it
you
was,
can, in a room full of alcoholics, if you can please 2 people, you're doing well.
yeah, I would have just liked to have been able to say, hey, this is page 18 and this is page 18. That didn't happen. But,
You
if
should
it,
try matching the Kindle version up to the big book, so.
I just hope it helps people, and I think we need more input from those learning the program from this book. So thanks for listening.
Thanks, June. Paul?
Oh, thanks, Rob. This paragraph that's underlined there by recovering alcoholics who are already in AA are completely different. We've been told over the years, at least I have in the meetings that I go to, that it's important to qualify the newcomer to find out if are they real alcoholic. And it was mentioned before that there are people sitting in meetings that have never gone through the steps. They've never been qualified, obviously. However, those oftentimes are the people that are snagging the newcomers and helping them join the fellowship, and they have no clue of what the fellowship represents and what the program represents. How can they work the step 12 if they don't have a program to pass on? Step 12 says, carry this message. What message you going to carry? Oh, we're going to line you up for potlucks and you're going to be a good salad maker and all that stuff. It doesn't work. I flown around. I've got almost 37 years in the program, so I've been around a little bit and heard a lot of stories in and out. This program, if worked the way it's written today, works every time. Where it falters is when we try to interject our own way and our own interpretation of doing easier, softer way. Well, the easier, softer way might work for a small percentage of people, but for the most part, it doesn't. And those are the people that fall away that say, oh, I tried AA and it didn't work. No, you didn't. You didn't try AA. You come to meetings and you jacked around and got sober enough and went back out, or maybe sober enough and stayed on that, on kind of on the outside looking in, really. But I have trouble wrapping my head around changing something that works. I just appreciate someone else's interpretation and someone else's ideas, but I have an open mind with that. But I think if it works, we need to continue to work it the way it's written. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Scott, do you remember?
I remember what I had to say. It was a bit of what you said. It's a bit of what basically everyone's saying here. It's not taking anyone's, it's an observation, right? Basic AA apathy, right? We were talking about basically how many people don't even have been affected for the steps. I know people who, one thing they don't even know about this book because they don't even know about our book. Right? I know people who don't read it, never read it, basically, and these are me, and it isn't a reflection on them, it's what they do, right? And they just do things differently. I won't say they're doing it wrong, they're doing it differently. I know it probably wouldn't work. I know there's no problem, it wouldn't work for me. But you're about people who basically, they don't read the 12 and 12, they don't read the Living Sober, Come Speak, Dr. Bob, and all the other books that we've done. So the last thing they're going to read is, I know this is a big book compendium, and basically we're preaching to the converted. Most people, I was rough guess that basically we're here because it's a big book.
Yep.
Using my other hat, right, basically, because I'm bitextual. I also go to another fellowship who have their own literature in Narcotics Anonymous, right? But just for argument's sake, right? They had a book called The Narcotics Anonymous, which is their basic text, right? And it's got a whole chapter called The 12 Traditions, right? And then that wasn't good enough. And then they had another book called It Works, How and Why, which is broken into the 12 steps and then the 12 traditions. And then about 5 years ago, they brought out a book called Guiding Principles, which is about the spiritual traditions. And all it is a money earner for Narcotics Anonymous World Services. So if you're using that as a standpoint, I'm not saying for one moment AA has gone, oh, that's a little earner, that is. But maybe, just maybe, it adds to their, what would you call it, their canon of books, their arsenal of books, you know what I mean? And it's another book to buy, and it's another book for groups to buy to put on the table. I really don't think that this is going to be this revolutionary, radical change of taking a step, or working a step, or going through the steps with somebody else. It's just going to be another book on the table for the vast majority of people, because basically, as I said, the other books are not necessarily the program, but there's so many people not, I don't want to say not working a program, if not the program, who basically, at the end of the day, are not too fussed about any of the literature. So another book on the table is just another book on the table. Not my take. I have to really put myself away from the apathy. I'm engaged in this. I'm invested in this, as I can see most of you are. We're passionate about it. We're enthusiastic about it. We are in the bigger scheme of things. We're actually we're preaching to the converted here, but we're a very, very small voice in a relatively big fellowship. That's why I'm sitting in reviews at 8:37 on a Friday morning. You know what I mean? So basically, no, you know, and that's why I come along to this every day, because I get here what I don't get in the meetings when I go into retire. With lots of people with lots of time. And lots of people with lots of time who are not necessarily, you know, I mean, don't drink and come to meetings, don't drink and come to meetings. I tried that for years. My first detox at 17, I sobered up at 42. That don't work. It don't work for me. So basically, in the essence of things, it is like, I think it's just another addition to the AA canon of books. And I don't think it's necessarily going to be this big revolutionary, radical new way of doing things. We're going to challenge it and pull it apart. I think in the bigger scheme of things, I don't think it's going to impact or affect us too much in the foreseeable. My take on it, for what it's worth. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Scott. Appreciate you. Zizi.
Hey Rob, I was thinking about what you said and about, but I've seen it. You know, sometimes old timers. They've been in the rooms for 35 years. Yeah, I don't even know if they've been through the steps. I know they're not prepared to take anyone through the steps because hi baby, okay, okay, just pass it here. You know, and do you know what? I've been in and out of fellowship, but I've been in and out of fellowship for 21 years, yeah, trying to do the steps, and I wasn't able to do them because I didn't understand the book. And when I looked at the book, I was so bewildered. As soon as I went through it, like with a sponsor, by the time I got to step 4, my mind just warped because I didn't understand it. In my pocket, Billy. And then, you know, and then after 21 years of madness, not being able to get the program, I went through the steps, the back to basics way, you know, where they, you know, and I know I can see people's faces. Some people aren't about it, yeah. But do you know what? For me, I haven't picked up in 4 years. So it's worked. And sometimes you know, the big book's amazing if you can get it, but if you just can't get it and you're just trying your best to understand it, you know, I'm dyslexic and that. I think this new way is going to be amazing. So thank you. But I don't think the original big book should be forgotten and bypassed. I think like what I think it was June said, if you could say it's okay, page 2 links to this page in the big book, then it would be perfect.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Easy. Appreciate that. Kevin.
Yeah, Rob, I was just wondering, I go to the big book by Howard and Kathy Eber, and on that program they suggested to look at the 12 steps before you make a decision. Will we be re-looking at the 12 steps today? Will we get that far?
You know what? We're not going to get anywhere close to the 12 steps today. The 12 steps are identical. They are listed, and the 12 steps are the 12 steps.
Okay.
Now, sometimes you know, when we go a little further into it, it's all wording, but the 12 steps are the 12 steps. They haven't changed a word.
Right.
Okay.
I think so, it might, yeah.
Allie, you found your hand.
Yeah, I found it. Is Kevin finished? Before I
Yeah, might, yeah, thank you very
okay.
much.
Thank you, Kev. Oh man, I'm just on fire here because okay, say this comes out, it's approved and all that. Then who's gonna teach it to the little guy? The little guy, the new guy, the guy that just came in before him a year or something like that, and then there'll be two AAs, Big Book AA and AA Light. What I don't know how that's gonna work, but it'd be interesting to see. But I don't know, man. I can tell you about. I ain't gonna say that. I can tell you about my sponsor and our crew, but yeah.
Well, you got to remember that most of the people that are here have gone through the big book, have done the
Exactly.
steps,
Yeah.
are recovered. Okay.
Right.
Now, most 99.9% of the people probably went through it with their sponsor, which is the way, we are taught.
Yeah.
Okay. Any of the people that are sponsoring here are going to take people through the big book and are going to make sure that people go through the steps. Okay. So you're right. The plain language big book is probably not going to be used by any of the long timers.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Case closed then.
the thing, a lot of times people, sponsors go, I want you to go home tonight and I want you to read the doctor's opinion. So they go home and they read the doctor's opinion. Do you have any questions on it? What did you gain from it? Or we'll read it together.
That's what my sponsor does. Okay.
Bob.
That's it, Bob.
Yeah, and I was going to say just exactly like you. We have what? We have 23 people on here. So 23 people here care what they are giving out. 23 of us want to know more about our big book. They want to know more about what happened because we don't want to give somebody false information. Okay. And that was taught coming down the line. The new guys, it would all be nice if everybody was taught the big book the way we have. But people don't teach the same way. And I know there's 25 great instructors right here because we care enough to keep growing and coming back to these meetings. So the only thing we can do, and I know a lot of long timers that aren't sponsoring it, and that's a shame. That's a shame because they were taught the right way. And those are the people that taught me, and I'm trying to teach the younger people the big book. Again, I have the definitions of all these words written in my big book because I had to look them up. And the other thing, like someone said that, if it works, why change it? Well, it's not working. That's why we're looking at different ways. It's working with us, with our group. But look at the percentage rates. Everybody says the percentage rates are down. And I could come up with a million reasons why the percentage rates are down. Number one, they're sending us non-alcoholics. Hey, if I get all partied up, liquored up, I get a DUI, what's the judge do? Judge sends me to AA. Maybe I'm a hard drinker. I'm not an alcoholic. Maybe that's why our percentage rates are down. I don't know. But I wish the people have long time in here would start sponsoring more. We need to get this message out. This book, like June said, it is the program. And somebody else said, if we follow this step by step, we are bound to get better. There's no magic. There's no magic. But we have to get together and start sponsoring and start spreading the word in our own home groups. That I passed. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Rarely have we seen a person fail who's thoroughly followed our path. June, go ahead, please.
Hi again. I was just piggybacking on what Bob had said. You know, I have told people, you know, they were in from the courts and they asked me to sponsor them, and I said no because they were not in it. They they were just there to get their license back, you know, and they didn't plan on not drinking. They still were drinking, and you know, take the quiz. Are you an alcoholic? Right? You tell me if you're an alcoholic. And if they haven't hit that rock bottom, they're going to go back out and they're going to make more of a mess. But until they hit their rock bottom, you know, and unfortunately that did bring our percentages down, and it's sad but true. But I don't want to put in the time and the effort. You know, I did it once, I did it twice, and I'm not doing it a third, fourth, fifth time. So, because I had 2 fails in it already, and why do I need 3 strikes? I'm there to help them and I work with them, but they didn't want the program. They just wanted to make the court happy, and it admitted it. So, you know, anyways, thanks.
Thanks a lot, June. Lynn, don't forget to unmute.
Thanks. Thanks, Rob. June, that was a great share, but I'm going to share something that I'm going to crosstalk. I'm an alcoholic addict. So it says in the big book, many failures, the occasional heartening success. Don't give up on those newcomers who may not have completely hit bottom yet. You know, that's just, I know that we get people who come in who are they're high bottom drunks, really high bottom. And some people show up here on a court card thinking they don't want to do this, but they end up changing their minds once they get into it. And you know what? Working with them keeps me sober and it helps me grow. So keep helping those people anyway. That's all. I just want to suggest that. Many, many failures. Big book tells us. Beginning I can't even think. I couldn't find it right now. It's right there in the beginning somewhere. Many failures, the occasional heartening success. You know, and that's what I bank on those occasional heartening successes. But I believe that most of my sponsees are going to relapse. That's just what I plan on that. And that way I'm excited when it doesn't happen. You know, because that's what we do. We drink and use. That's what we do, especially when we're new, especially if we don't even know we're addicts and alcoholics yet. We haven't really admitted it yet. But when we get in here on a court card, let me rephrase that. When I had a sponsee who came in on a court card and had absolutely no interest in this whatsoever, it clicked one day. It clicked one day. And she's still with me with 2.5 years sober. You know, and she's finished her steps. We're on step 12 right now. And I would have never guessed in a million years this girl was going to be the one who stuck it out. And the girls who I thought were going to stick it out, they've disappeared. You know, many failures, the occasional heartening success. But what does it do for me? It keeps me sober. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Remember that Bill Wilson failed with his first 6. And if he gave up, where would this program be?
Okay, this was with due diligence. This wasn't just said, no, I know you're going to fail. I mean, it was with due diligence, and I would never say no to help somebody, but there was a reason. But unfortunately, I was agreeing with Bob on the numbers because I've seen it firsthand.
And I agree with you. There's nothing more disheartening than to see one of your peeps go out. But what is our job? Our job as alcoholics is to get them closer to God, number one. That is our number one job, get them closer to God. Number two is take them through the steps, which does get them closer to God. That's what our job is. It's God's job to find out whether these guys are going to stick with the program or not. That's not my job. That's God's job. I can't get anybody sober. I can't make them drink. God can do that, not me. So, and it's disheartening, June. I feel your pain. I truly do. I had 3 guys go right back out, and I was telling my wife, I said, I'm going to give this sponsorship stuff up. I said, it ain't working. And she asked me, she goes, did you pray on it? And that night I went to bed. And the next morning I had the answer, and the answer was just what Rob said. The answer came to me that Bill's first 3 months, he got 0 people sober till they went to Bob. So we got to keep trying. We got to keep trying. But I'm not going to waste my time with a gentleman that comes to meet me and is drunk, or if I set times up and he keeps not showing up. That's when I will say, you know, I have the time if you have the willingness. Once your willingness runs out, my time runs out. There's a lot of drunks out there that need our help. And it says that in the big book. Don't beat your head against the wall. Again, I'm sorry I keep jabbing. Thank you.
Don't apologize, Bob. You know, that's what it's all about. We plant the seed. You know, we don't take responsibility when somebody gets this program, and we don't take responsibility when they don't get this program. It's between them and God. We just point the direction. We show them what we did, and if that was good enough for us and the first 100 people, you know, we're going to follow that path. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Allie, you want to take us out with the third step prayer, please?